This is the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants podcast, a show to help independent HR consultants get a pipeline of perfect fit, high-paying clients without expensive adverts, time-consuming social media activities, or energy-sapping and monotonous networking meetings. I'm your host, Nick Paninsky, author of How to Land Your Dream Client, a book which explains everything you need to know to get every sale and client you ever want. And if that sounds interesting, then make sure to grab your copy from the influential consultant website today. That being said, let's get into today's show. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultants with me, Nick Paninsky. Today, we're joined by Ruth Barker Magowan. Ruth has been working in HR for over 25 years and has been a self-employed HR consultant for just over a year. Ruth and I met a few weeks ago when she was an attendee at one of my webinars. We've kept in touch ever since, and today she has volunteered to be a guinea pig for the show. We're going to go through some coaching for her in her business. So, yeah, over to you, Ruth.
Morning, and thank you so much. And your webinar was amazing, to be quite honest. It gave me so much value. So anybody who's listening, please hop on to Nick's webinar. It is well worth the listen and viewing. I took pages and pages of notes, and I've been in HR for ages. So, hop on.
Oh, excellent. That's wonderful to hear. Thank you, Ruth.
I'll have to find them later, Nick. That's fine. Thanks. I'll send it in the post for you. Thanks very much.
Anyway, you throw me there, Ruth. I was not expecting you to ask for the bribe up front on live. Anyway, okay, let's roll with it. So, okay, Ruth, so obviously we've been talking back and forth. You've been explaining that there's a few issues that you wanted to talk about off the back of the webinar, a few other bits and pieces. So, we've got half an hour. Obviously, normally a consultation call with me would be for an hour, but we're going to record this for the podcast. So we've got half an hour. So let's get to it. I'm not going to waste any more time.
Okay. Well, it's my LinkedIn really that really is stumping me, to be quite honest. I put my message in, my posts up, and it's like tumbleweed. I don't know what I'm doing, because I look at other people and they're posting very similar content to me, and they're getting responses, they're getting comments, they're getting reposted. So I must be missing that magic ingredient. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm obviously not snagging them. And they're just scrolling by. If you can help me with that, that would be ideal.
Okay. Yeah. So that's a great question. And I know that is something that a lot of HR consultants struggle with. Before I go any further, can I just ask you, if you were to, what is it you want? Do you want engagement? What is it you'd be looking for? Like if you made a post tomorrow and I could give you the best result possible, what would that be?
I'd like some engagement, because then I could actually look at who'd engaged on my post. I could reach out to them. I could go into the DMs and I could start conversations with them, and hopefully then go on and have clients. But without the post, without sort of getting people to react to my post, I've got nothing. I can't take it anywhere. It's just like, I might as well go and stand in my garden and shout that I'm a HR consultant and I do this, because there's nothing. I'd like some sort of engagement to actually take it into the DMs.
That's really interesting. Thank you for your honesty there, Ruth. Okay. So I guess the first thing that I would say is, for me, when I'm posting on LinkedIn, I like to think of it as a bit more of a positioning tool rather than a getting clients tool. So for me, when I'm posting on LinkedIn, it's more about, here's what I am, here's what I do, so that whenever anyone wants to find out more about me, they can look at the posts that I've made and get a bit more of an idea. I don't necessarily think that posting on LinkedIn and getting clients off the back of it, someone coming into your DMs, I don't think it happens all that often. That's not to say that it can't happen, but I think that you are looking at things from my perspective, from my view. I think you're looking at things kind of in a roundabout fashion. So what you said to me there was that you wanted people to engage with your posts so that then you could start to DM them.
Yeah.
So why are we focusing on those first two steps? Why aren't we just going straight in with the DMs?
Because I don't know who to DM.
Okay, that is a great question. So that's actually the problem then.
I don't want to come over all spammy and cold calling and, going to somebody who really is not wanting my services, because I get that in my DMs and it's like, oh, just chuff off. Do you know what I mean? Who do you think you are? Go away. I had one the other day and it was from probably a very lovely lady who's got a really lovely business. But no, I don't want to lose weight. Thank you very much. I'm quite happy with what I eat and how I look. And, and it was very polite. I sent back to her a very polite thanks, but no thanks. This is not for me. And I'm sure she gets very fed up with people just ignoring her, not even acknowledging that they've got her email or her message. And it's like, I don't want that. I don't just want to send out a blanket message and say, look, I'm the best HR consultant you're ever going to come across. I've got all this knowledge. I can solve all your pain points. Come on, send me all your money, because that just sounds like I'm standing outside a circus with a flyer. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. That is, that's really fascinating. Again, thank you for your honesty. So I guess I would say to you, people, HR consultants, especially because that's my audience, that's who I work with. Sometimes they don't like the idea of outreach, right? I think what you're saying there is if you were to start sending out messages, you would feel like you were spamming them.
Yeah.
Something in the back of your brain is saying that this is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have really bad news for you, Ruth.
You're going to tell me it's not wrong, aren't you?
Listen, Ruth, if you want to build your business, you have to talk to people. You have to, you have to. You have to get out there. You have to say, hello, I'm Ruth. I'm a HR consultant. It has to happen. So in terms of how that looks, that's not what I'm saying. Don't say that, obviously. But what I'm saying is that you do have to do outreach. You do.
Even if they haven't shown any interest in what I've posted, even if they haven't, I just go through LinkedIn and find owners of small businesses and then just send them a message out the blue and say, look, I'm the answer to your prayers. I'm the HR emergency service. You don't know that you need me, but honestly, I'm telling you that you do.
Okay. So no, I wouldn't say do that.
Okay.
Because there's ways and means of doing these kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
So there are certain messages. One thing that you might want to consider, because I'm going to bring this back to what we talked about on the webinar. So
Okay.
one of the first things that I said to you was have a target audience.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Which is what I've just said, founders of small businesses.
Yeah. Do you remember what I said on the webinar about?
No, small businesses don't. SMEs don't exist. Yes, I know. But
Okay.
founders of small businesses do exist.
Yes. Yeah. I know they exist, but from a marketing perspective, they're very difficult to find, and they're very difficult to speak to them about their problems. So from a marketing perspective, I will always argue that if you are doing outreach, having small business owners as a target audience is a difficult thing to nail down, right? If you were to speak to them, because obviously the HR consultant solution is always going to be employment law compliant, right?
Yep.
Always has to be, and there's best practice, and then there's best fit and whatever else. But I would argue that somebody who owns, for example, a factory with people on minimum wage, they would probably have HR problems which are different at the top of their mind to somebody who works in tech and is, you know, in a startup. And, you know, because for me, I don't know these people, but what I would say is that the factory where they make toilet roll or something with the minimum wage workers, they're probably more worried about infrequent absences, disciplinary issues, you know, that kind of employee relations issues. Whereas the startup, they may be more worried about recruitment and engagement, right? So these would be different things that you would talk to them about, so that when you go into the DMs, you can talk to them about things which are more relevant to them, rather than saying, hey, you need HR. You can say to them more specific messages. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, yeah, no, totally agree. Totally agree.
Good.
Yeah. There is going to be a but. There's always a but. However, let's not have a but, let's have a however. My niche, is sort of training managers in the people management skills.
Okay.
Because I feel that is so... that's missing. And I'm not going to wrap it up in proper speak. That bit is missing in nearly every single organisation that you can talk about. It doesn't matter whether they're making toilet rolls, whether they're tech, whether they're a top 500 FTSE organisation, whatever it is, that piece is missing, because managers are promoted because of their technical ability, and then all of a sudden they've got managers and they've got teams to manage, and they don't know what to do with these people. They have no fucking idea. So they look at what's gone on before, monkey see, monkey do. Oh, that's how we manage people. And a toxic environment is all of a sudden, it's there, it's done, because that's how it was managed before. And and I've seen this over my 25 years. And I was an employed HR consultant before, and I've gone into other organisations, and it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Because this is not the way you manage people. This is not how you engage people. This is not how you retain people. This is not how you drive down your costs on recruitment, on training, because all this money that you're spending on recruitment and training, because you're constantly having to backfill spaces, you could then be putting into your R&D, because you don't need all this money on recruitment and training if you actually develop your people. But to start developing your people, you need to actually train your managers, because your managers are not treating your people properly. And then you need to look at the senior managers. How are they actually developing people? How are they actually treating people? And it's, sorry, I'm on the soapbox now. And that's how, butt in, stop me. And then, it's like, this is how we need to actually develop your senior managers, to actually develop their people. And it's like, let's have a look at the C-suite. What are they doing? Are they actually on board? Are they? So it's all that piece that is where I fit in. So it doesn't matter who I speak to. It's like, what are your managers doing? What are your managers doing? Is it monkey see, monkey do? Are they actually micromanaging? Are they frightening your people away? Are they actually developing your people? Is there a succession plan in place? Let's have a look at the people. That is the piece that I'm passionate about. I don't know whether you could tell.
I can see. I was just about thinking there. I was thinking, Ruth is passionate about this. So I like that. And that's good.
And so that is, and nobody's good in my messaging. And I had it. My messaging before was, all about toxic culture, and it's like, who's going to put their hand up to say they've got a toxic culture? Nobody's going to actually admit that they've got a toxic culture. Oh yes, I've got a toxic culture. Please come and fix it. No, who's going to admit to that? Do you know what I mean? Right. So it's like, right, okay, scrap that messaging. So it's hitting them. Think business manager. That's what. When you come out of being an employed HR consultant, you've got somebody that comes to you and says, "We've got this new client. Please, can you go off and fix this problem?" Yes, fine. Yeah, I'm off. When you come out to be an self-employed consultant, nobody's coming to you with these clients. Nobody's saying, "Please, can you go off and fix this problem?" You've got to go and find these clients, and that's the piece that is exploding my brain, because there's no pot of these clients sitting there waiting for me to pick them over and say, "Oh, well, I'll take you. Thank you very much." And it's just getting that messaging out there. And so do I speak about, "Oh, I've got 25 years experience, thank you very much, and I'm just the best thing since sliced bread," or do I say, "Actually, I can save you X amount of pounds on your recruitment and training, and then you can invest that in your R&D piece, or on whatever you want to do, because I'll come in and I'll develop your managers, and then your recruitment, your retention will soar, your attrition will lower, your performance and your will soar." Do I go in it as a business? I don't know. Help me, Nick. I don't know.
So loads to pick out there, Ruth, and I wish I was taking notes. Because I do thank you for that, and it was really honest, and I love the passion. And what I'm hearing loud and clear is that you don't know what to say, and you don't know who to say it to, and you don't want to say it to people because you feel a bit spammy.
Yeah. But if I can
that's fine.
But if I can get in front of somebody, you see, I can bamboozle them with all my passion, and they'll say, "Oh, yeah, sign on the dotted line. We'll have that. Thank you very much. We'll have two."
Well, I don't think, okay, so let's go back to the beginning when I said, have a target audience, because SMEs don't exist from a marketing perspective.
Yeah.
Solving that specific problem that you're passionate about, that you can solve for people. So that is something that you can market. That is, effectively leadership and management development for, I don't know, for factories or for whatever it is that you want to choose for the local area. We can talk about that afterwards, but let's focus in. That is what you want to do. That's your signature offer. And you can create all these messages that pour out of that. So when you say, what messages do you share? That is a big question and something I would need to go away and think about. But I think you're right in terms of saying a toxic culture is probably not something that people want to put their hands up. But because they probably won't even be aware that they've got toxic culture.
No.
But there are telltale signs of a toxic culture, right?
Yeah.
So what would be some telltale signs? What, from a HR perspective, from a people relations perspective, how would you, what would be the terminology, or not the terminology that you would use, but that they would use? What would you?
There'd be conflict. There'd be a lot of employment relations issues. So there'd be a lot of grievances. There'd be probably disciplinaries. There'd be low performance. There'd be missed targets. There'd be attrition. There'd be a lot of recruitment. There'd be sickness, absence, people being off all the time. There'd be employees not really being engaged in what they're doing, people not being bothered to turn up to training, people just not being really bothered about being there, nobody wanting to be there. They're walking on a Monday morning and their morale is really through the floor, that sort of thing. Managers having to sort of chivvy them along all the time, and it's like herding cats. Nobody wants to be here. What is wrong? What is wrong in our culture? And nobody can put their finger on it. And that is a real sign of a toxic culture, because nobody wants to be there, and nobody will actually put their hand up and say, "Well, the blame lays at my door."
Question, Ruth.
Yeah.
Because you've just given me loads of great information there. When you were thinking about it, who did you have in mind? What did that person look like, or those people look like?
I don't understand.
What place of work are you thinking about?
Well, if I name them, I'll get sued.
No. Okay, so we're speaking from experience. So let's ignore that. But if I said to you, which organization, what type of an organization? I guess what I'm trying to say is the way that you were so passionate then, and the way that you understood those problems, you understood it exactly. You saw it in your brain. Are we looking at a factory? Are we looking at a textile? What are we looking at there? Is it an SME healthcare? Because I guess I'm wondering, do you have a target audience in mind? Can I pull that out for you?
I was an employed HR consultant. I had a portfolio of 10 different clients, and they were in different sectors.
Okay.
And I had this problem over and over again in the 10 different sectors, and they were not for profit. They were private sector. They were public sector. So it was in every sector that I worked in.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I wondered if we'd hit a little moment where we thought, in factories or something.
No, in my employed life, I worked in places like that as well. So it was in every sector. It's not generic. It's everywhere. You people, and it's everywhere.
Yes, yeah. I listen. I worked in HR, so I don't disagree with you. I've seen this firsthand, like you have. So I just wondered if there was something in your brain that was telling you that this was more, office type work. So let's put a pin in that and let's ignore that. And I guess what the real thing is there, that you're talking about these problems. You understand this world that they're living in, right? Yeah. So getting them to put their hand up and say, Ruth, I do need your help. That's the bit that we now need to move on to, right? Yeah. So these messages, everything that you've just said to me, in terms of if you wanted to market on LinkedIn, if you wanted to market in pamphlets, if you wanted to send out lumpy mail, whatever it is, the information will be along those lines. Does any of this sound familiar? And then you pull out 3 examples. Your managers are promoted based on technical skills rather than people management skills. And, and then depending on your brand, you would be very blunt, or you would be a bit more flowery, how you would want to do that. But you would say, and they're terrible at managing people. They're causing more problems than, something that causes big problems. Off the top of my head, it's very difficult to come up with an example.
Mount Vesuvius.
I was thinking of a mountain, I was thinking of the volcano in Iceland in 2010. Yeah. But I thought that's not very relevant anymore. But they're right, perhaps you could say Andrew Tate. You're causing more problems than Andrew Tate. Something along those lines, right? Yeah. And you could, if that was your brand, you could be funny with it, and that would get people's attention. And then you could say, does any of this sound familiar? Blah, 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 blah. If so, keep reading. And then, you'd say something along the lines of, my name's Ruth. I do this. This is how I do it. And then you'd say, the benefits of this would be X, Y, Z. So if that's what you wanted to send in a letter, then, you would need to send some sort of sales letter effectively. But, I see what a lot of people do is they send out like monkey see, monkey do was the phrase you used earlier.
Yeah.
Right. So what a lot of people do is they send out a pamphlet, and it is literally, let's pull out an example. I don't know. I'm going to use you as an example because you're right in front of me, Ruth. And you would say, Ruth Barker Magowan, HR consultant. And then you would talk about your HR services. You'd say disciplinary and grievance, exit interviews, engagement, blah, blah, blah. And then all you would get would be bullet points of all your different types of services. No one cares.
No.
That is nothing to them. They will look at this for a split second and throw it away. Our brains are built to keep us alive, stop us engaging in things which are irrelevant to us. And those services, they don't realize that they need them. They don't want to think about it. They're thinking about their kids at home. They're thinking about their ironing, blah, blah, blah. But if you can grab them, with that letter that I was talking about, with, does any of this sound familiar? And then you pull out these problems, they're like, okay, that does sound familiar. What else have you got for me? And they'll spend a bit more time engaging in it. So that could be one thing that you would think about. But in terms of if you wanted to pull it into LinkedIn, again, let's ignore the content piece, but there's nothing stopping you. And I would encourage you to message people with this, hey there, my name's Ruth. And then if they reply, they don't reply, great to connect, whatever. And then they don't reply, you can say, do you mind if I pitch you? Tell me to bugger off if you want to, but otherwise I'll pitch you. Ask their permission, because if they say yes, then great. And if they say no, then you've not spammed them.
Yeah.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that would be better, because I don't know. I was brought up polite, believe it or not. And
I believe you, Ruth. I believe you.
Big stretch. And it really is sort of rude just to sort of go in somebody's DM. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, it is a bit like asking permission, please. And I don't want to beg. I don't want to come across as desperate. But, it's like, may I? And if they say yes, then that's fine. Or, are you in the market for? And if they say yes, then it's like, this is me.
Yes.
And, if they say, well, no, not right now, it's like, well, thank you very much for your time. And, it's like, well, that's it. And, I just don't want to, excuse the language, but I don't want to piss people off, because I don't want them to think, oh my God, she's in my DMs again, or, oh, what a pretty cow. Because later on down the line, they could need HR services, and it might be, oh, actually, she was polite about it. Let's see what she's got. Because sometimes, no, I don't want it right now. But actually, somebody asked me about HR. Who was it who was in my DMs? Let me think. Oh, it was her. Let's see if she can help them, or if she can help us now. And if you're not polite, then people are not going to even give you a second thought, are they? Well, that's my reasoning.
I agree with that. Yeah. No, that makes absolute sense. People need to know you, they need to like you, they need to trust you. And if you are rude, then they're not going to like you. So I would say, there is a way of asking permission to pitch them. And if they, say yes, then you can pitch them. And if they say no, you say no problem whatsoever.
Yeah, no, exactly. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind if I keep in touch with you in a couple of months or something? And if they say yes to that, then, then great, you can go back to them. And if they say no, then they say no. But, at least you've got the answer. At least you've got permission. At least you're not feeling like you're spamming them, because you're not. And
a no is a step to a yes, isn't it? So,
yeah, absolutely.
It's not, personal. Actually, bursting into it. No, it's not personal, though, is it? I mean, if you don't get a no, then you're not going to get a yes, are you? So,
100%, Ruth. They're not rejecting you. They're rejecting your offer of help. They're rejecting a picture of you and your LinkedIn profile, perhaps, if they bother to check you out. But most of the time they won't. Most of the time they are making that split decision that I talked about at the back of their brain, which is trying to keep them alive. And he's saying, okay, well, I'm not interested. Bugger off. I've got my own stuff to deal with.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like we all do. Yeah, it's that halo and horns, isn't it? You have 5 seconds. You know yourself.
There you go.
If you've been in HR, recruitment, somebody walks through the door, you've got, your own opinion within, well, it's not even 5 seconds, is it?
No. But, it's much quicker.
yeah. Which is very wrong. You should never do it. Nobody condones that sort of behaviour. But it is that halo and horns. So yeah,
100%. Let me make a suggestion to you of where you can find a script.
Oh, okay.
Something to DM people with, or perhaps if you wanted to, you could send them videos. Get a copy of my book, Ruth.
Oh, hang on a minute. That shoehorn stuck in my throat.
Well, I asked permission.
And where could I get a copy of your book, Nick?
Well, great question, Ruth. I love that. So if you go to my website, you will see it displayed prominently. In that book, you'll find a template, you'll find a script, you'll find everything that you need to use, and then, you'll be able to DM people with their permission.
Oh, cool. And how much does this book cost, Nick? Oh my goodness. It's like I've been trying these questions.
It's a bargain. It's not hundreds of pounds, don't worry. It's nice and cheap. Maybe when we get off this call, maybe I offer you a discount.
And maybe you should put your website address prominently when you post this podcast.
I probably will. Thanks for that, Ruth. I'm getting marketing advice from you, no?
I've learned from the best, Nick.
Well, excellent. I'm sure that was someone else. Couldn't have been me.
Oh my God.
Well, anyway, Ruth, hopefully that helps. Does that give you a bit more of an idea about what you should be doing and how you should be doing it?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it did. And it's, yeah, no, definitely. And not just sort of like be sick on the page, really, which is what I have been doing. And I've loved, and rather than post, sorry, the geese are going over, and rather than post something, I've not been posting because I've not known what to post. So and that's as bad as just being sick on the page, really, isn't it? So you know, it's like, yeah. So yeah.
Let me jump in there quickly, Ruth. I think people worry too much about getting engagement in their posts. If I was going to be honest with you, the people who are your target audience, i.e. senior managers, I would find it unlikely that they are looking for solutions to their problems by scrolling through LinkedIn.
So where do you think they are then?
I think you need to DM them. I think you need to send them letters. I think you need to turn up at their door. I think you need to call them. I think, yeah, not at their personal address. But, you know, if they're working in the office. Well,
Right.
Yeah, don't do that.
You see
but
that?
yeah, you need to do outreach.
HR is now stalking the senior managers.
There you go. And then ask their permission to pitch them, and get to work. That's the only way that you will get clients if you do not have referrals, if you do not have that strong network, and that only comes through time. You know, you're still quite young in your business, right?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
Right, you've been there in 15 years or whatever. People will be referring to you. You'll have a big client base, but at the start, you need to do the outreach. Unless you've got a big network of people referring you, you need to get out there. That's the only solution for you.
Even though I'm chuffing brilliant, I am the best kept secret.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I think you've got a very engaging personality that you could tell people on as well. Absolutely, bit of cold calling.
I'm just a bloody clown, but I do know my stuff, and that's the thing. And you know, it's like I just need to get in front of people, and you know, I mean, my very micro consultancy, and that's how I got my clients, because I got in front of them and I started doing training for them, a one-off training, and for my clients, it was like do a one-off training, and it was because of the way that I presented that training. They then came back to me and they said, we love you, we absolutely love you, can we work with you?
Absolutely.
And
doesn't surprise me.
Fine.
And I'm just going to pull out a few key words that you said there. It's because I got in front of them. That's what you said there.
Yeah,
you're going to have to get in front of them again. You're going to have to outreach, cold outreach, letters, packages, DMs, whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm not your professional stuffed shirt, and I never have.
No.
I never have been throughout my HR career, and sometimes it got me into trouble with my managers because you know, especially especially in my early days, because it was like, you're not taking this seriously, and it's like, well, you know, in disciplinaries and stuff, I can be serious. I'm serious when it needs to be serious, but I don't understand why it all needs to be, you know, black and dour, and you know, we're helping people be the best versions of themselves. So why is that so miserable? And they were like, well, it's HR. Well, yeah, I know it's HR. I'm passionate about HR, but it doesn't have to be miserable.
No. I'll tell you what, Ruth, at some point, maybe I'll have you on and we can talk about HR horror stories. We can compare notes. But
oh, no, don't do that. Oh, my goodness.
That's okay, well, then that will happen. Maybe we'll just talk in private. For now, though, I am going to have to let you go and get you cracking on. You know what you're doing, right? You've got your plan.
Brilliant. You've been amazing. Thank you so, so much.
No problem, Ruth.
You are amazing, Nick. That is just lovely. And it's been amazing chatting with you this morning.
Yeah, you too.
I forgot we were working.
Well, that's good to hear. I like that.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for being the guinea pig, and for everyone listening at home, thanks for listening. That's it. Bye for now.
Bye.
Oh, I almost forgot to say, if you found value in our conversation and you're ready to tackle the challenges that are holding your HR consultancy back, then I'd love to hear from you. Because whether you're frustrated with lead generation and you're tired of staring at an empty inbox, whether you're struggling to close bigger and better sales, or whether you're just feeling like your business has plateaued, then I'm here to help. Head on over to my website and book a Power Hour session. In just 60 minutes, we'll dive deep into whatever problem you're facing. Whether it's copywriting, marketing, sales, or anything in between, you'll walk away with a complete roadmap tailored to your business so you'll know exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to make it happen. So don't wait for your business to magically change on its own. Take control and start seeing real results. Head on over to my website now, book your Power Hour, and let's get to work. Bye for now. Hey there, and thanks for listening to the Marketing Made Easy for HR Consultant podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, then please consider taking a moment to help us grow by sharing the episode with a friend or colleague, or by leaving a positive review on podchaser.com. And make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming episodes. I've been your host, Nick Peninsky, and if you have any questions or want to know more about today's topic, then reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'd be delighted to hear from you. See you next time.